Number 1. Motel 1 Berlin Upper West. The hybrid high-rise Berlin Upper West, in the center of the picture above, which is located directly west to the Berlin Memorial Church, Kaiser Wilhelm Gedächtniskirche, which is the next object, is one of the tallest buildings in the capital with 119 m. The architects' offices involved were Christoph Langhoff and KSP Engel Zimmermann. With its slender silhouette, the white giant sets an elegant exclamation mark, which the president of FIAPSI Germany Michael Hemming praised in his laudation speech as a major building that positively shapes the cityscape of City West. Following his speech, the striking architecture provides contemporary, urbanist answers. Number 2. Kaiser Wilhelm Gedächtniskirche. Known as Hohle Zahn, Hollow Tooth, it became the symbol of resurrected ruins of West Berlin. Before its destruction, it was the symbol of the noble and pleasure-seeking New West, the Memorial Church, such as it is called in short form, built in 1891-95 in memory of the first German Kaiser Wilhelm I, initiated by his grandson Kaiser Wilhelm II. Not only the prominent urban location at the crossroads of several large streets, but also the popularity of the first Kaiser and the prosperity of the parish ensured that ample donations flowed towards a construction that was to become the most impressive church in Berlin. Franz Schwechten designed a cruciform, multi-towered building in the style of the Rhenish late Romanesque. Number 3. Potsdamer Platz. The city planner's bill has paid off. Daimler City, with its cafes, cinemas and large shopping arcade have been well received by the Berliners. Renzo Piano and Christoph Kohlbecker designed the master plan for the 68,000 square meters district. The ensuing competition for detailed elaboration and the architectural drafts were developed by 5 further architect teams. On the one hand, this ensured the quarter's homogeneity, on the other hand, architectural diversity. One of the winning teams was Renzo Piano Building Workshop, who designed the Southeast District, Daimler City on the left hand at page 18 to 19. Number 4. Sona Center. After World War II, only a remnant of the former Grand Hotel Esplanade was preserved on today's Sony site at Potsdamer Platz. To implement the new building concept, the Kaisersaal, a listed building, had to be moved 75 m to southwest. In 1996, the 1,300-ton hall was translocated on air cushions at great technical expense. The Sona Center, built at this location according to the designs of Helmut John, is the only ensemble that deviates significantly from the master plan of the Hilmer and Sattler office. The politicians gave their approval. To create a unified form, the individual parts of the building are grouped around a roofed forum, the public center of the area, which is used intensively for events of all kinds. #5 Denkmal Friedrich der II. Von Prussen, Reiterstandbild. The monumental equestrian statue of König Friedrich II. Von Prussen, Friedrich der Grosse, stands impressively above the Forum Friedrichianum, which he created as a royal area and extension of the residence. In 1839, Christian Daniel Rauch received the official commission for the monument from König Friedrich Wilhelm III, and it was not erected until 1851. Even during Friedrich II's lifetime and especially after his death, various monuments, some of them magnificent, had been planned for the king, but never executed. The monumental effect in the focal point of the avenue, Unter den Linden, and the proportions harmoniously matched to the architecture of the Forum Friedrichianum give the equestrian statue an outstanding urban planning significance. #6 Brandenburger Tor. Since 1734 the Brandenburg Gate formed the western opening of the core in the excision wall which was newly built at that time. Friedrich Wilhelm II had the first simple pillar gate replaced by a representative new building by Karl Gotthard Langhans in 1789–91. The Brandenburg Gate, Pariser Platz, is one of the earliest buildings of Berlin classicism and the only remaining gate in the city. When it was built, it was already the most important city gate, through which one could reach the palace via the city's most elegant street, Unter den Linden, and has since become one of Berlin's landmarks. The Monumental Gate, which is enclosed by two wings and has a Doric order, has 5 passages, which are separated by massive transverse walls. In front of their front sides, 6 columns each are placed in and out of the city, which support the entablature with a metape. #7 Goldels. In the center of the Große Stern rises the Siegersäule, which was erected in 1865–73 and stood on Königsplatz, today's Platz vor dem Reichstag, until it was moved to its present location in 1938–39. The richly decorated column of the late Classicist School of Architecture and Sculpture is today considered a Berlin landmark. The 61 high column monument was originally intended as a sign of victory in the Danish campaign of 1864, but due to the rapidly following wars against Austria in 1866 and France in 1870–71, it became a monument to the 3 wars that ended victoriously and the foundation of the Deutsche Reich that was made possible as a result. The design is by Heinrich Strack, who took ancient Roman column monuments as his model. #8 Reichstag. The German Reichstag, which was initially housed in buildings on Leipziger Straße, decided to erect its own parliament building as early as 1871. The location was determined to be the east side of Königsplatz. After lengthy planning and negotiations, the architect Paul Wallot, who had won the second Reichstag competition in 1882, was commissioned to carry out the construction. Kaiser Wilhelm I laid the foundation stone in 1884. After 10 years of construction, the Reichstag was inaugurated in 1894. Paul Wallot designed the monumental, broad-based building in the forms of the Italian High Renaissance. Only this architectural style seemed appropriate for the splendid representation of the German Empire. #9 Glienicke Brücke. The Glienicke Brücke is a prominent location in the area of the Glienicke Palaces as well as the crossing and border between Potsdam and Berlin. Since about 1680, the road between the two royal cities has crossed the Havel at this point. At the beginning of the 20th century, the stone bridge built in 1831–34 according to a design by Carl Friedrich Schinkel had to be replaced because of the steadily increasing traffic on land and water. The present bridge was built in 1905–2007 by the Duisburg company Harcourt as a steel truss girder bridge on behalf of the Prussian Hydraulic Engineering Administration. The architectural design of the piers, bridgeheads and bank reinforcements was the responsibility of the Structural Engineering Department of the Prussian Ministry of Public Works. The designs were provided by senior building councillor Eduard Fürstenau. #10 Olympiastadion. For the Olympic Games in 1916, which were suspended due to World War I, the largest sports stadium in the world, for 40,000 spectators, was built in 1912–13 according to the plans of Otto March, a modern reinforced concrete construction with bombastic historical equipment, the Deutsche Stadion. In 1931 Berlin was again awarded the Olympic contract. The Deutsche Stadion was demolished and according to plans by March's son Werner, the Reichssportfeld, a symmetrical facility decorated with numerous sculptures, with the Olympic Square, the Olympic Stadium for 110,000 spectators, the Mayfield, the 78 high Olympic Tower, Glockenturm, and today's Waldbühne for 25,000 spectators, was built in 1934–36. Further sports facilities were added. #11 ICC. Internationals Kongress Zentrum Berlin. Up to the new development of the Potsdamer Platz, the International Congress Zentrum at the Messedamm of Ralph Stuhler and Ursulina Stuhler-Will was the most extensive Berlin building project of the post-war period, 1974 to 1979. Surrounded by city highways, the architecturally bold complex is located like a large aluminium-clad machine at an important entrance to the city. Over a total length of 320 m, it encompasses halls and rooms, the largest of which can hold up to 5,000 people. With 800,000 cubic meters of enclosed space, the ICC is the largest congress center in Germany. Like no other building in Berlin, this perfectly functioning colossus stands for the faith in technology of the time of its creation and the model of a car-friendly city that ignored pedestrians. #12 Funkturm. It is an elegant landmark of the city. The Funkturm, christened Lange Lulatsch by the Berliners, was put into operation in 1926 for the third German Consumer Electronics Fair, Funkausstellung. The filigree steel framework construction, 150 m high with antenna, with which Heinrich Straumer built a miniature replica of the Eiffel Tower in Paris, stands, and this is unique, on porcelain feet, insulators that prevent energy being dissipated into the ground. In 1929, the first television picture in the world was broadcast from here. #13 Schloss Charlottenburg. At the beginning of its history there was the desire for a maison de plaisance. The name-giver, Sophie Charlotte, was an unusual princess, highly educated, a friend of Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, connected to music. She is the progenitor mother of all Prussian queens and kings. Based on a design by Johann Arnold Nering, she had a small summer residence built outside Berlin between 1695 and 1699, a 2.5-story building with 11 axes, the center of which is accentuated towards the garden side by a columned, oval hall. This oldest part was extended when her husband was crowned the first king in Prussia in 1701. The master builder Johann Friedrich Esander von Gothy, who was trained at Versailles, added side wings to the main building to create a three-winged complex that encloses a representative courtyard of honor. #14 Haus der Kulturen der Welt. The former Congress Hall, also called the Schwanger Oster, was built in 1956-57 by Hugh A. Stubbins with the collaboration of Werner Duttmann and Franz Mocken as an American contribution to the 1957 International Building Exhibition, IBA. The location at Spreebogen, in the axis of the Reichstag, close to the sector border, was deliberately chosen because the Congress Hall, a gift from the US, was intended to express the connection between West Berlin and the free world and to demonstrate the cultural superiority of the democratic societies of the West. The Congress Hall was understood as a symbol of intellectual freedom and German-American friendship. #15 Band des Bundes. The ribbon of the Federation is an arrangement of buildings that runs across the Spreebogen at the edge of the Spreebogen Park in Berlin's government district north of the Reichstag building and represents the guiding urban concept for the reorganization of the government district. The exceedingly long ribbon includes, on the picture from bottom left to right top, the park on the north bank of the Spree, the Federal Chancellery opposite on the south bank of the Spree, the Paul Loeb House, the Marie Elizabeth Luder's house, again on the south bank of the Spree, and beyond that the unrealized Citizens Forum between the Chancellor's office and the Paul Loeb House, where instead there is an open space with. All the associated buildings appear like a massive white bar that cuts across the Spreebogen and crosses the Spree twice. The impression of cohesion is reinforced by the bridges over the Spree between the buildings of the ribbon.